Now call the town council meeting to order, and we'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Hagenow.
Present.
Councilmember Kerr.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Present.
Councilmember Parmet.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Thisted.
Present.
Mayor Riley.
Present.
There are 7 members present.
Great. First item is the approval of the agenda. If no one has an item they'd like to change in the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It's been moved to approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
And Parmet seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hands. All those opposed, the agenda is approved unanimously. Now we come to communications to council, and I'd like to again invite anyone who would like to speak on any topic to the council. You have 3 minutes. The council will not respond to your comments, but we will certainly consider the comments and take them into consideration. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Please step forward to the podium. And state your name and your connection to the town of Keystone.
Hi, my name is Mia Price. I'm a owner at Pines, 21650 State Highway 6. I just wanted to comment on the last public session regarding the bans on smoking, etc. And having been through the 2-day workshop on visioning and the sort of overwhelming support for being a family-friendly and really marketing that, and that's kind of the brand of Keystone, that anything that you can do regarding kids, I guess it built another matter to ban the flavor, the nicotine, the smoking, the zins, I think would really be a much more consistent message than parsing that out. So I just wanted to say I hope you do support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia.
Hi, Christy Camp from the Ski Tip neighborhood. I just wanted to echo, I believe Mr. Sullivan spoke about education along with that same topic of all the smoke-producing, candy-flavored items that are currently available in the stores. I was just going to say that the education piece is very careful and vital, can be very impactful if done in a thorough and also supportive of the regulations way. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online? No one online? In that case, I'll declare the communications to council session closed. And now we move on to the consent agenda. And we're looking at a first reading of an ordinance 2025-09 regarding excessive noise and a resolution regarding approving the electronic messaging policy for the town, the minutes, and we have several excused absences, several absences in here as well. So, just a recognition of a site plan amendment for Kindred Resort. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Point of order, I would ask a question on a part of this, specifically the excused absence section. I just want some clarification. And then also, just make everyone aware, and you probably are aware, the November 25th meeting is around one of the holidays, so potentially we would get research on that. I guess my question was wondering if you could refresh us on the differences between excused and unexcused.
Basically, you have 2 absences that are excused for any reason. Excused absences can also be as a result of business or family obligations associated as well. But if they're basically a simple vacation, and you're beyond the 2 excused for any reason, then it becomes a non-excused absence.
Except in the case of medical issues?
Oh, medical issues as well
Okay,
are also an excused category.
all right, thank you.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yeah, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 2025-15, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone appointing a municipal court prosecutor. And is there, Mr. Town Manager?
Yeah, and even though our town attorney wrote these resolutions and memos, I feel I can take this one pretty easily here. The first resolution is straightforward, appointing Mark Robert, who we got here tonight, to be our municipal court prosecutor. If we do not appoint him, then we will have to reassess our court IPA.
Is there any discussion? Any questions of staff? Councilmember Cornett, did you raise your hand? Wait, what up though? Is there any discussion? Councilmember Sullivan? No. All right. I'd like to just make a comment. I was impressed with the qualifications of Mark Holder, particularly being a prior district attorney. I thought he was very well qualified for us. So with that, can I have a motion?
There's two of them, so I move to
Just the first one.
approve resolution 2025-15, a resolution of the town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, appointing municipal court prosecutor.
Is there a second? Councilmember Kerr.
I second it.
Then moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving resolution 2025-15, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next item is resolution 2025-16, a resolution of the town council of the town of Keystone, Colorado, appointing a municipal court judge. Councilmember Hagenow.
I move to approve resolution 2025-16, approve appointing Mr. Ron Carlson as the municipal court judge.
Councilmember Kerr.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hagenow.
And at this comment, I would relate to both this motion and the previous one. I think a very important portion of the conversation today that Councilwoman Kerr unearthed and made evident for all of us was how Keystone can set its perspective on law and order within our town. And I think that that's a very important aspect of this town forming and the desire and passion to be our own entity, right? And giving that feedback and being able to do that, I think is going to be really key. And from the conversation that the judge had today, I truly do believe that while maybe not the best in the entire world, they're definitely the best that we have for us right here, and we'll do what we're hoping for the town. And that's really exciting, and I'm happy to see that. So.
Any other comments? Moved, seconded. In that case, I'll call the question. All those in favor of resolution 2025-16, please raise your hands. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next up is planning matters. And I'll turn it over to the town manager and Community Development Director.
And Community Development Director is going to give you guys a bit of a rundown.
Does anyone need to tell me anything? I don't have a name tag anymore.
Oh, it's hanging there.
It's there.
Okay, all right. I'm going to assume I'm still employed. So I'd like to give you a pretty quick update with regards to community development and planning matters. Some of which I'm going to ask for a bit of input from council, a little guidance. But first of all, I want to let you know that the RFP for the sidewalk in front of the Brightwood project, the Highway 6 portion, we will be getting that out maybe even tomorrow, but definitely this week. We're very close to getting the CDOT permit issued after five amendments to that application. But I'm pretty pleased with regards to where we are right now with regards to that project. As I believe you are aware, RTAP Community Action Plan has been completed. I believe I forwarded it on to council for your review. I will say that I kind of appreciate the small reprieve I have for not working on that one right now. But I did get an email. The CU administration informed me that they want to move on to phase 3 implementation strategies for those action items. So we're going to be moving forward with some of those, at least meetings anyway. Building permits are slightly up, higher than this time last year. Solar development applications a little bit. There are a couple new starts going on, but mostly remodels. SE Group has initiated the next process.
Are the new starts predominantly single-family
Yes.
homes?
Yes. I do anticipate a larger 12 unit, if that's larger to you, 12, 14 unit project being submitted in the next month or two for Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll keep you abreast. SE Group has moved on to the next portion of their public outreach, and that's dealing with specifically resident population. They've formulated a survey and are planning 2 events, one on the 28th, one on the 29th. I will send out the advertisement for it to council. Let's see. SE Group is talking to P&Z on Thursday evening regarding the 3-mile plan. If you recall, that is a portion of what they are doing. Statutorily, we are obligated to do that. Cluster mailbox. That is plugging along. Dan is keeping me on track on that. We have a team call, including the postmaster on, don't tell me, May 28th. So hopefully we can get the ball going. The north side connectivity plan is in process. That is the plan looking at pedestrian access on the north side of Highway 6 of the site. That is moving along. Town attorney is working with the county attorney with regards to the transfer of open space and trails assets currently held by the county. I believe a week from this coming Monday, I believe discussions are going to happen with regards to that. Jennifer, is there anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Most importantly, and this is where I need a bit of guidance, and I know people are anxious. The Charleston Open Space Advisory Board, I received 17 applications, and I have put them on a map geographically. I've also reached out to county's Open Space and Trails Department to get a feel for OSAC and how big and how that works. They are a 13-member committee board. I also reached out to Town of Breck, a little different scale, and they are a 9-member, I think. 9-member, I believe. 7 or 9-member. So I would like a little bit of feedback, if possible, tonight from council to know thoughts on how big you want this committee to be, and how you would like me to proceed with regards to that. I personally believe that for the size of our community, that, and this is a little self-serving, I think a 7-member would be adequate. I think we can get representation. I certainly acknowledge the fact that we've gotten a lot of interest. I get that. I believe that given the size of our community, I think 7 can do it. And the people, the other applicants that may not be selected can certainly participate. So I'd like to have some feedback from council with regards to that. And I plan on coming back to council at the next meeting with my recommendation on however many you tell me you think is appropriate.
Councilmember Corvette?
I certainly recognize what I assume to be your preference for a manageable size. And I also note that you say that people who aren't selected can still participate, but I'd like to also recognize that they're probably much less likely to do so. And so if you think they're valuable and good, we might benefit well by having a larger committee because they might be more involved and more willing to input their efforts in various projects that the committee identifies as worthy of their time.
Councilmember Kerr?
With that in mind, let me ask you, what is the expectation of you as the staff representative for this group? You don't manage, they self-manage, right?
No. Well, no.
Okay, explain this all to us, really.
No, it is very similar to a planning commission with the exception of they don't vote. It's a committee, it's not a commission or they're a recommending body, but it's not quite as official. Did I say that?
Okay, but I still don't understand what is your role when you
I
said
will be doing everything I normally do with the planning commission. I will be forming an agenda.
I've never been to those.
I will be, you should be coming.
Let me jump in on this one. Staff's position with this committee is to make sure that the committee is considering the crucial areas in open space and trail, that their scope is within what the town council is looking for advice on. They're an advisory committee. So it's all going to be dictated by what you, as a town council, need to make decisions on upcoming issues. It will not be an unfettered agenda set by the committee because we don't want to put you as council in a position where you're getting recommendations on something that has not been fully fleshed out, the information's not out there, or you're just not ready to consider yet. So it's very important that the scope of this advisory committee is limited to what we're prepared to take on at any point.
Councilmember Kerr?
So if I understand this correctly, you act as a liaison between the council communicating priorities to the board or whatever, the committee asking for the recommendations back. So where I'm getting to is what would be the difference in your role between 7 members and 11 as an example?
It's a great question. And the more people, the more input, and in my opinion, sometimes harder to get to garner consensus. It is a concern, but if the council believes that a larger committee is more appropriate, then we can make it work. It's just staff isn't as large as some of the other municipalities. For instance, OSAC has an open space and trails department. I believe 6 or 8. BOSAC, I think there are at least 4 or 5 now, as far as staff members, so,
Can I just conclude this? So I think there are several of us who probably are excited about this interest from the community and would love to see as much participation as possible. But we don't know how this works. And so that's why we're looking to you to say, above and beyond trying to, explain it to us.
well, considering that we don't have a master plan yet with regards to open space and trails, it's difficult to kind of comment on with regards to what direction we're going to be going, because I don't have that quite yet. Now, with that being said, through the RTAP process, and quite frankly, everyday action and talking with the citizens, open space and trails is a very important component of the town. And as such, we want to make sure that we're going in the right direction and in the right order. So I will be guiding that. My apprehension, quite frankly, stems from managing more people. It can be done, again, it is a committee, but I do have a concern with regards to consensus. Everyone has their own special area that they love. So, more to come. I wish I could give you more direction. I don't believe that we should be meeting monthly by any means. I am anticipating probably 4 meetings a year-ish, more upfront to get going. But I don't think it'll be quite as intensive as a planning commission typically is.
And if I may weigh in, several of the committees I sit on are very much larger committees, like the Intermountain PPR. Those larger committees, I've noticed, tend to have 2 or 3 people who basically lay out everything in the committee. You don't get the feedback we had tonight when you have 20 people sitting around the table trying to find a consensus on an issue. The committees get either too large yet nothing gets done, or too large yet they're clearly driven by a small select group of experts or whatever.
Councilmember Sullivan.
I think the thing we're all wrestling with is we love the excitement. And you hate to turn away people that want to help. I guess the question I have is I want you to think about your comment you said about we're small and we don't have a lot, you don't have any staff, like the other towns. Would you be able to, these people are volunteers, you're not volunteering their time. I mean, I could see why you would want more people, because you would actually use some of them as staff, subcommittees, and have them go off on their way and not maybe 17, but I could see where you leverage them more than you would normally.
I had not thought of that.
I think they are willing.
Yeah, I had not thought of that, to be honest with you.
I think
Councilmember Burnett.
I think Councilmember Sullivan has an excellent point. 17 to 20 prevents easy discussion, as Manager Crone points out, but having a dozen or something might not, or 10. And we are small in area, but we are very spread out and diverse in our neighborhoods, right? So, and you may want to actually have 2 per region, because they may not all show up to all the meetings, right? It's not a hyper-formal commitment. And I think you'll also end up having the high interest separate out from the chaff as far as people who are willing to get really involved in the committee.
And you're exactly right. Size doesn't necessarily matter with regards to the municipality, but we are somewhat diverse with regards to rec path, community path, open space parcels, connections to the Forest Service. there are many different levels. So I guess the size of the town doesn't really matter so much as the diversity in which this group will be giving advice to council.
Councilmember Hickner.
Bigger, I'm even bigger.
Yeah, my just biggest concern, right, with a larger committee is exactly what the manager was saying, is that I think it can be really hard when you have a larger grouping of people building a consensus, and I would just hate to see this passion and fire that we have as so many people turn into resentment because of an ineffective group. And I think as long as we're hyper aware of that, as long as the staff that's working with them is hyper aware of that, then it can be successful. But just, I would hate to see this really, really important portion of our town and really sizable group of constituents wanting to get involved turn into a negative if it's not managed appropriately or staff doesn't have time to manage it appropriately. So I'm okay. I guess what I'm getting is I'm okay with bigger as long as it's a success. I did have two questions related to the development director's report. I asked them. Sweet. So, are there any potential costs related to acquiring county open space, such as maintenance or future repairs that we're anticipating? And if so, is that something that we'd be financially able to take on if we did acquire the county open space?
Yes, there are, and yes, we are incredibly capable, and it would probably cost just as much to work our relationship with the county for them to maintain their property within our town.
Great, thank you. And then relating to the permits and development applications that you mentioned are up from last year, I know that we've had a lot of debate and discussion that people have come forward about our town laws that we adopted from the county, right? Do we know what the timeline is to potentially revisit those and tailor those a little bit closer to what folks in Keystone are looking for?
Yes. Again, that's the reason we're doing this master planning effort. The master planning effort will set the tone in goals, actions, and maybe even some policies with regards to the direction that we will go as far as changing the land use and development code to ordinance.
So you're, to put it more timeline, you're probably looking at October, November time period to be able to go back and revisit those as a result of the comp plan approval?
So I got a revised time schedule from SC Group. It looks like beginning of October to finish up as of right now. So as soon as it's adopted, we can commence discussions on where to start.
I guess I would see in the fall, we would have two primary priorities to work. The first priority would have to be the budget for next year, which is a statutory requirement for approval in December, and then the comp plan and look, particularly going back at looking at all of the code that we've adopted and then tailoring that to the town of Keystone. That answers your question?
It does, and I think it's very important that we, to be honest, instead of just kicking the can down the road, we put timelines on it, we hold ourselves accountable for that, because this is as everyone around this table and everyone knows, is a very important thing for our town.
I want to be very clear, we have not kicked the can down the road. There is a clear path that we have to follow as we do this, and from day one of my being here, we've been on that path and progressing.
And that was not, and I do apologize, that was not meant as a slight to staff or to us, but residents in the community need more clear communication on what that path forward looks like and when changes will be made, because there's a lot of resentment currently with our current planning codes and use codes. I think that this is going to be an important step for that.
Now, getting back to Community Development Director's question on size. Do you have everything you need from us, or would you like further delineation since you didn't get any guidance?
Sparklers.
How about something like this? I'll throw this out to the council. Nominally, depending on qualifications, no more than 10 to 12. And if it's a little less, okay, but try not to exceed that piece. And as you look at diversity for recommendations, ensuring we have a pretty diverse look at the various constituencies there. Councilmember Kerr?
And we would recommend a couple, 2 or 3 alternatives.
Yeah.
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 So that's good. I believe I'm reading with tears. So, understood. All right.
Could I have one more comment on that?
Go ahead.
And again, we have not been shared a list of the applicants or any background, right? But I think if we could prioritize both, whether they're full-time here, whether they're second homeowner, like things like that. I would just hate to see 16 second homeowners and 1 full-time resident here, right? If that-
I think there needs to be a mix, and I think,
I'm doing that as part of the analysis.
yeah.
And I think I heard the development director say that there's a variety of skill sets and knowledge. Because I know that's what any probably was told to us, that county OSAC looks at both. They have to get people from a certain number of people from each drainage in the county, as well as at large, which gives them latitude to choose people based on their skill sets, because they end up doing staff work or on their expertise.
Right? Is that better guidance?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you. All right. To continue on, I've been attending the wildfire grant meetings, and I actually made a presentation for this property, and it appears we should know in a week or 2, I believe, whether or not we will get a $7,000 plus change grant to clean this property up for wildfire compliance. Will be about $14,000. The Summit Fire and the EMS has reached out to various contractors, and that is about the price. The good news moment about that project is Summit Fire and EMS has also been reaching out to our neighboring property owned by Vail, and that is looking promising. And St. John is has also applied, and it would be a wonderful break, continuous break that we could build on in the years to come for this side of the valley. So very excited, very, very educational with regards to it, and I'm optimistic that we will have the opportunity to utilize that money. Last but not least, you all know that Andrew Collins has left us, and I wanted to just let you know that I have initiated the recruitment process, and more to come, but I am very anxious to fill that position. Given the workload. Yeah, it would be wonderful. So more to come on that, but we're community development's pretty busy, and working very cooperatively with the public works director. He's got a lot of projects going on as well.
Thank you.
Anything else in the subject, town manager?
Well, that's it for planning, but I've got.
And now report of the manager and staff. Over to you.
Okay, I'll start departmental, and I don't know if Kale has anything that he wants to report. He's more than welcome to, but Next meeting, we're having the Dillon Town Council show up here at 7 o'clock for the official swearing in of our new police force and some recognition of some of the officers for special services they've performed in the past. So the next meeting will be a police meeting. It'll be nice.
I'd like to ask you to also reach out to Summit Daily. That sounds like something, particularly for the recognition of the officers and of course the joint police department, something that would be very newsworthy in a positive sense, and would benefit the town of Keystone and probably even more so the town of Dillon.
So we'll go on to our clerk's department. Despite state and federal grants drying up, our clerk has acquired for us a $110,000 grant to pay for the SDR software.
Wow.
So we need to go again.
Is it beyond the SDR software? Is it really all the AI software growth?
It's development of the additional capabilities of that software, yes.
So Superstar Maddie, she did this while conducting her SDR open houses, which have had people showing up, and all of them asking good questions. They've been going very well. We only have one more. When is our last meeting?
Tomorrow at 6.
Okay, tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And then next week, Maddie will be out of town most of the week at her convention.
I'm sorry, but I said it, who's the grant from?
State.
It's Colorado SIPA, and their fund is separate from all the other state funds, and it comes from most of the money they make from the payment processor that they sell to municipalities. So I do not think it will dry up.
Super, thank you.
Public Works will have pothole patches, some milling and overlayment starting next week. APEC is doing it. The East Independence Road Bridge area is getting a pretty major overlay, and Razor Drive will be getting some tender loving care along with other spots. Striping is still scheduled to go forward. We're using the same striper as the county, so it's depending on when they get here for the county.
So I know there are very demanding reasons to have striping. Does that include crosswalks like at Razor Drive?
It everywhere but on Highway 6. So
Are
we
we
don't.
precluded from doing that by the state or the feds?
No, we could put a crosswalk
I think
on
it might-
Razor Drive, I think.
Well, on Razor Drive,
Yeah.
but why not across the US 6? Is there some kind of policy against it? Because it would be one more way to remind people, at least in the summertime.
Yeah, well,
for the
they will be doing that, they will be doing that, the state, CDOT, when they restrict.
They do
highways.
striping too,
Yes,
and that's on their list?
that's on their list.
Okay, great.
Let me see, we have some, East Keystone Road, pretty much from the bridge up to River Run is going to be torn up this summer for XL work. Kind of like we had on Soda Spring. And they'll also be tearing up West Keystone Road, some more in the section that's in the county, not in the county. We just got that news, so more public works news. As our community development director said, the Highway 6 South Pathway RFP will be going out tomorrow, and we hope to get the Ranch Road by the end of the week. I'll get to those in just a second. Finance department, we're planning we start the audit for fiscal year 2024 tomorrow. So she will be very tied up in that. And we plan in the end of June to workshop actually how our budget has operated and worked, our current budget, and where we're at, plus a few policies we need to adopt, depreciation policy, a reserve policy, and I'll go into my combined public works, finance that I didn't get a chance to talk about in the workshop, and that's the major projects.
Before you go into that one question, where are we in getting the town sign on 146?
I don't know, but we do keep reaching out to them, I do know that much, but I don't know.
As I remember last fall, it was imminent, and
Yeah.
now it's been a year, it's been 15, 16 months, so.
Yeah. Yeah. See that? We might have to just do it ourselves if we really want to get it done.
Is there anything stopping us from doing that?
See that?
So they,
Yeah.
would they notice?
They will probably, they might give us, we'll talk to them about doing it ourselves, and they will probably give us permission to do that. I will see, but let me kind of talk about, I put our budget scenarios out there first. So the financial director and I have been doing recession planning after hearing words from Silverthorne, issues like that. Not us. We're,
No, but we have expressed concern.
yeah, we're ahead of the game.
Good.
We had, well, I'll start with general fund. We had 3.44 million budgeted. I made a mistake in that initial budget number with the January projections of taxes. So that number really should have been 327. We're now projected, if our collections are flat for the rest of the year, and I shut down my report, it's above our budgeted numbers. If our collections drop 20% for the rest of the year, we'll bring in 3.146, which is pretty darn close to where we should be, and that doesn't include things like the $110,000 grant that I just told you about, or the at least $125,000 up to $205,000 worth of donations we'll get through the Brightwood sidewalk.
And I just want a definition, right? When you say remain flat, do you mean we don't earn another dollar, or that it maintains the same pace that we noticed?
Maintains our no, not the pace we've noticed, our projected pace. Pace we've noticed is 7% above projections, not counting on January.
So unlike Silverthorne, the other towns in Summit County, we're running about 7-8% below projections. We are running 7-8% above projections.
So far.
That's
Good plan, okay.
Yes, and we finally fleshed out our end-of-the-year budget last year, and we do have a significantly larger surplus that we started the year at than we had budgeted for back in January when we started the budget. Our starting surplus was, we estimated it would be 1.1. It turned out to be just over 1.8. So financially, we're in pretty good shape here, and the projections on the handout, 20% reduction in sales tax numbers would be a pretty catastrophic recession that we're going through if those numbers were hit. And as the numbers I keep presenting showed, even if those numbers hit, we're still going to have a surplus for the year on top of the surplus we started. So no matter what, we're going to finish this year with more money than we finished last year. And that's if we get hit with a pretty horrible recessionary tax numbers, tax collections. I listed our big projects out on the backside. We know that the Highway 6 South Side road construction is going to be, well, we have approximately $870,000 budgeted for infrastructure projects in various lines in our budget. Heike broke out where those lines are on the handout. We have approximately 1.35 million in infrastructure projects planned. That 1.35 does not include the 200,000. It's actually $200,000 less because of donations we're expecting our adjustments we'll have to make on the Highway 6 sidewalk. So our actual budget projects for these are less than we budgeted, our estimated cost. 300,000 for the Ranch Road repair. That estimate was done by taking the highest estimate cost per square foot to build a road in Colorado right now, approximately $15 a square foot. It's only 10,000 square feet of road there, but we have to tear out the existing road. That is a complete rebuild, going down, scooping out dirt, laying down 12 inches of road base. So I just doubled the cost. At 300,000 is a very safe estimate. 600,000 on the sidewalk. The other numbers are pretty locked in. I put in some things that are standard maintenance here, like routine road repairs. We're going to spend 40,000 this year. I just put that in because some of the roads that the town is contemplating taking over full maintenance for, especially around the River Run area, are in really bad shape. We haven't had our assessment yet by the engineer, but I'm estimating if we take over those roads in coming years, we could easily see 300,000 to 400,000 in extraordinary costs to get them up to standards. Basically, the whole point of this message is I feel real good going forward with the Highway 6 Southside project and the repair Ranch Road this year. I think it's important to do these, and we're going to be in very decent financial shape even going forward with those projects this year. Any questions about that?
Doesn't ever occur.
So what are you referring to when you refer to the community trail? What does
Then
that mean?
I mean the pathway along the river.
Okay.
Until it gets,
Not the rec park,
what?
not the rec path.
The rec.
Oh, it is the rec path.
Yes,
So this is our responsibility to maintain
yes,
the rec path. Okay, I understand.
yep,
25K for median maintenance. Is that all going to be our money?
that's our money,
There's no partners in this?
that's our money.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, they're partnering, that's what they're charging, that's what
Oh, this is
Yes.
our
our contribution to the
contribution
meetings with.
to a larger
Yes,
number.
yes, and I don't know exactly what that larger number is.
Okay, and last one. So in the discussions for tonight's meeting, the South Highway 6 pathway has been described as from the West Keystone intersection past the bus stop to the lodge. I thought we had originally talked about that piece plus the piece that came around to the front of Pride. Is that never been true?
That's never,
So we're talking about that one small piece,
no, it's a,
but it's only from the intersection to the lodge.
yes.
Well, I thought that there was a tie-in to the Bright, maybe not the front of it, but I thought there was a tie-in to the community down there.
That if the Brightwood, the pathway runs right past the buildings. I mean, it runs on just right next to Brightwood land on right away. And I imagine the Brightwood developer will tie sidewalk into it, but we weren't taking
Do they have
responsibility
plans for a
for.
sidewalk, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, I thought that was one of the reasons, that's one of the reasons I was in favor of it originally, simply because it would tie into the rec.
I do remember that.
I'm pretty sure the design.
The trail.
No, they didn't. Maybe the Brightwood designs had internals, but they didn't have our sidewalks on it. So,
It was confusing because I heard what Carol heard.
So at this point, that will cost us at least, good math, Carol,
no,
475.
400,000. No more than 400,000.
But some of that's still hoping for some donation, for a second donation.
If second donations don't come in, we'll reassess the scope of the project.
Okay. And to be clear about this, Brightwood has already done the engineering study,
We have construction drawings. And,
so we don't have to pay for that.
No.
That's a sunk cost
Yep.
that we should be considering while we look at this, right?
yeah, Brightwood did the construction drawings
Okay,
for
so
us.
that's in essence a contribution in kind, yes?
They're donating $125,000 to us. We don't have the donation from them. I am in no position at this point to dictate how Brightwood is viewing the contribution of their drawings.
But if they are done, right? We're not gonna go back out and do it again, are we?
No.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah.
I don't care what they think of it, but we should think of it as,
No, not necessarily, because these have legal implications, how we think of it. So,
okay.
So this is not a donation in kind for the $125,000.
Okay,
No. I have had, I have had discussions with Blake, and they're gonna back out the engineering numbers from the donation. So they have paid an engineer X amount in order to generate the drawings that are nearly complete. So they're gonna back that number out from what they intend on contributing. And they'll have some paperwork. Just
kind of shape-shifting here on a regular basis.
I guess, look, if you don't want me to go ahead with the project, we have plenty of money that the people of this town have collected and paid us to get these projects done. And if we don't go forward with the Brightwood project right now, we are losing up to $200,000 worth of investment in the project, worth of contribution to the project if we go forward in the future. These donations, whether part of it is in kind, I know certainly the first drawings are not going to be backed out whatsoever. I guess if we have a problem going forward with these projects, I need to know kind of now.
I'll just comment, and Councilwoman Kerr mentioned shape shifting. It does seem that the original proposal that we thumbed up at a work session, quite frankly, was a lot less than this proposal. And it just, I think what's frustrating to me is like, and I understand things happen, I understand we don't get grants, I understand that that's all possibilities, but it just seems like that there's something new with this more frequent than not.
Yes, because we are trying to get this going as we're moving along. Most towns would have discussed this 2 years ago, worked on the plans last year, found the financing last year, and started construction this year. We didn't exist 2 years ago. We didn't know what our financial state was last year. So yes, this is very much a thing, probably what you will soon see, that almost any large municipal project is pretty much going to consistently be a work in progress. You go to put in a storm sewer, and all of a sudden there's a house as big as a rock in the middle of the road. This happens all the time, and there's always large municipal projects are not something that, it's not like going to the grocery store and you can buy a sidewalk off the shelf. It has to be done for what we have for the situation and within CDOT's constraints. And that was a big reason for the increased cost, because after we brought our first plans forward, CDOT came back to us and said, well, no, we want the separation and we want curb and gutter. We haven't signed any contracts. If you want to stop the project, we can stop the project, but at some point in the very near future, and it'll be in a couple meetings, the first meeting in June, when you will be approving a contract for a contractor or not approving it, but, yeah, this is part of the governance. It is changing, that's why we bring it back to you a lot, and that's why you'll get the final say when it comes down to it, when the contract comes in front of us.
So I like the opportunity to clarify. I don't think you're pulling any punches on us. I'm well aware that CDOT said, no. I know you thought you had two options, but this third option, higher price spread, is what we will require. I get that. But if you're asking us, if today is the day, tell me to keep going or not, I'm simply looking, or is that 600 truly a high side? Not anticipating boulders, we all know that. But a 600K minus 125, or is that also?
Well,
So is all this still in negotiation?
until we get the bids back and agree to a contract, 600K is my high line. But you as a council will make the final decision on what you're willing to pay after we get our bids from the
Okay, and the 600K is what we would pay as of today,
Yeah.
what you're anticipating, best guesstimate,
No, that's my highest estimate.
Your highest
Because I think
estimate
their costs.
without any donations from anyone. Is that accurate?
Correct. Correct. And I feel it's a very informed 600K, but I also feel there are a lot of cost savings in the data that was even used to generate that 600K number. So, any other questions? As I said, you will get final approval. You have to approve the final contract on this. Still moving ahead with the PUC intervention. We'll see what the gas line explosion has to do with that. When that happened in Silverthorne tonight, that's why all our phones were going off. We had mayors, mentors, commissioners. It was really didn't go into that much. I had a presentation from Elevated Health, which used to be the community care clinic. A few things I'd like to point out. Anyone can use the community care clinic. It's not income restricted in any ways. Boy, they served a whole lot more people than I suspected.
In fact, they would encourage you to use their clinic because they actually get more revenue from insurance covered clients than they do from non-covered clients.
For those of you who saw the RCAP presentations last week, they were great. Things will be moving forward from that. Next work session, we'll be talking about some of their recommendations a little bit and the pace of how we move forward on the implementation.
Can you talk a little bit about the committees? I know one of them is standing up shortly, and how you see staff and the council interacting with those.
I'll briefly talk. I think most of our discussion will have to happen after I kind of see where they go. One of the committees recommended, for example, was the marketing committee. And some of our wonderful citizens have already jumped on that. And members of our community have already jumped on that. They've scheduled, I got a calendar invite for Thursday. I will be going to that meeting. It's my opinion that council needs to really discuss these and figure out what we're looking for and how quickly we want to go before these committees start generating life of their own.
I also got an invitation to that marketing committee meeting, and while I appreciate community involvement and galvanization, I have some concerns that it's very premature. I have other concerns that I'm not going to go on the record with, but I'm not sure that we can be putting a stamp or allowing them to say this is a marketing meeting on behalf of the branding for Keystone when nothing has been passed by the town council. I'm very concerned about this committee starting without town council approval or direction, because a branding campaign that is primarily run by Vail Resorts is what this community incorporated to get away from.
Yeah, and I'm basically going to be Thursday to give that message.
And if I can extend my colleagues' thoughts a little bit, I don't know what they're thinking, but if it were to come to be, if we decide that, then we'd be looking for an advisory board.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe something with some action, but I think would we identify the scope?
I think this council needs to, for any committees that are formed in the name of the town, whether they're ad hoc committees or permanent committees, I think the scope and basic composition of the committee needs to be approved by the council before anyone starts saying they are representing the town.
Councilmember Hagan.
I will say, I totally agree with the sentiment of this potentially being premature. I do feel this is a great opportunity to partner with a resource that has deep pockets that at times can be a very, very good partner in developing Keystone into a larger scale. And while I don't think that this has a timeline for expiration, I think that it's something we definitely need to consider partnering.
We've lost audio.
Okay. Partnerships that we choose to engage in are great, and this may be one we would want to choose to engage in, but no fait accompli, no self-dispatching, no freelancing, no dilution of our legal and constituent-based supremacy over this sort of decision-making.
So I'll be bringing that back to you next meeting. As I said, I am going to attend this first meeting to make sure the town is being understood in what we're looking for here. Let's see, I'm working on the Parks and Wildlife Bear-Proof Trash Bin, which is, there's still funds in it as of when I talked to the guy last week. It's closing date on that is May 30th. We'll be bringing our local plan at our next meeting for you. Town cleanup day is coming up, everyone, May 31st. Meet here at the parking lot at 9 a.m. We will have breakfast sandwiches and burritos and lunch. And it should be a jolly good time cleaning up our roadways and pathways. Vale Resorts, Keystone Resort cleanup is, I believe, June 14th. And I'll make sure we get more information on how we can help participate in cleaning up the mountains if anyone wants to. CML district meeting is here May 29th at 5 p.m. So that should be a good thing. And I've discovered we now have 2 CML summer, the big conferences have been booked at Keystone Conference Center.
First one in 2026, a year from now, and I think the other one is what, 2 or 3 years later?
Yeah, it might be 2027 or
I think it's 2027.
Yeah,
27?
Yeah. And we're going to Westminster next year.
yeah, but that's a nice thing to get.
Very nice.
We are one of, what, 6 conference facilities in the state that are CML members that are large enough to handle CML.
We're excited about that. As I said, our next meeting is May 27th. Big police night. I'll have the trash band. We'll be going over our goals and priorities from our retreat at that workshop and whatever else we missed tonight. And that is my manager's report. Other than I did not win enough money in Vegas to buy the top floor of the catering.
Was it close?
I might lost it.
All right.
Before we go off,
Councilmember Cornett?
thank you. Before we go off to non-agenda items, I have a question about procedure. First, let me apologize. I misread the agenda and made an error. I didn't realize that the first reading of the noise ordinance was under consent. So when we didn't get to it, I realized that it was under consent. If I realized that, I would have asked to split. The reason I would have asked to split is that there were 3 important but simple corrections. And so I'm not certain how to ask to proceed or bring that up.
I'll ask our town attorney for how to proceed.
Are they corrections that were discussed at the meeting, at the work session
Yes.
last time?
Yes,
That
nothing
like things that should have been included that weren't?
Correct.
Then I think it's okay to add those between first and second reading, and then just the staff report will address that those changes were made.
Then I will email manager.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you for that consideration.
Is that all?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's all I've got tonight.
Now, report of mayor and council, before we start, I would just like to recognize it was about 1 year ago, certainly within the last week, that our town manager became an employee of the town. And I'd like to recognize his contributions to the town over the past year as we have been standing up and on this incredible ride. So again, John, thank you very much for your support.
I would be, that's great to work with.
And now, do any council members have any items they need to bring up? Councilmember Sullivan.
Quick, you heard about the 28th, we have a HOA conference call where we're with the USPS on cluster boxes, how to get that done, if they want to get done. First one's been approved, it'll be in the alders. Anyway, along that line, the USPS has a new head USPS, and which will help us as we pursue other things like the zip code. The Postmaster General, David Steiner, he came from FedEx. That's okay. We are also are named in a Boebert bill, HR 3095, which is goes to Congress. It goes. The Congress approves it, well, it'll go to the Senate then after Boebert, and then that goes to the USPS to push and mandate zip codes or zip codes. But we are on the list.
And if that does get through, as it goes to the Senate, both our state senators are supportive of that, as well as Congressman DeGoose.
We are going to also pursue another route because we're with 30 other towns. And so there's always a risk that they might, across the country, that they might delay that. So we're going to go also go direct to the they call district manager in Denver, and I have a meeting tomorrow with our local USPS to jointly develop that district manager. So that was it on zip code stuff. Lastly, we did have beer in council. It was very successful. We had a lot of folks. I want to call out Nowhere Pizza for being a great host. They were wonderful. The pizza's great. But it was a post the visions workshop, so we had announced that we had probably 10, 12, 15 people there, and so broke up into a number of different tables. So if anybody wants to bring up any items, but it was very well received. A lot of comments about the vision workshop, which they loved. So that's it.
All right. Councilmember Kerr.
A few more legislative things. So we know probably that May 7th, the Colorado legislature came to its legally mandated close. I wanted to address three things that were on the agenda this year. One of my council colleagues has expressed interest in the vacant home tax legislation. That bill never did come together, was never introduced, so the CML Policy Committee didn't vote on it. It will probably be back. Several bills were proposed to take on Tabor. And I don't know well, one of them was a lawsuit to challenge the constitutionality after 30 years. That didn't go anywhere either. That will be back for sure next year. And then the so-called Yes in God's Backyard bill. I can't remember if we actually talked about it here, but it was essentially a bill that would allow schools and churches to develop housing on their property that would not be required to meet the local municipalities' guidelines. So CML and the municipalities were kind of excited about that. It failed, and it will be back as well. So stay tuned for next year.
Councilmember Hayden.
Thank you. I would like to just expand upon two of the fantastic conversation points that we had up here with council. Firstly, parking was an important issue for some of the constituents there, noting that free parking is a key to Keystone. And so that's an important thing their view is that it's an important thing for visitation and the reason that Keystone is unique in its own area. And then there was some STR owners that were present as well, and we talked about the vacancy, but then we also talked about ownership and responsibility of STR owners. And the reason I want to mention this is because a lot of times we hear that we're already taxing enough on the STRs and like we were already restricted enough on the STRs. But this STR owner actually shared that they felt like that they could be a partner in doing more to support the town through various different ways. But it was a little bit of a unique perspective, right? And STR owners were, they realize that they are a burden to the town in some way, shape, or form, and they want to help to alleviate that burden even more so than they're currently doing. So,
All right. Anyone else? A question on the post office. For the cluster boxes, do the HOAs have to provide one box per residence?
No. They don't. It's up to the HOA. We're going to be recommending on the call that they do, because the cluster boxes that have been deployed, even though people are part-time, a vast majority of the people want a box, even if they're only here for a few months of the year. And so you found, like in the Alders, they elected to do a survey first to determine how many boxes.
So did the alders decide to put in one per residence or?
I haven't seen their feedback yet, but that's what I recommend.
That, by the way, is a significant fact and change from the post office, and it will, I think, cause more HOAs to potentially participate because of the cost. I know in my HOA, which has 20 units, it would cost about probably $4,000 to $6,000 to put in cluster boxes, because we'd have to have 3 boxes of 8. Whereas we might be able to start with 8 boxes, and then incrementally expand if we have other users that want it as we go forward. So that gets rid of a big one-time cost and the objection of folks that, well, really, I'm not interested when you have a small core that might be, and that can get the initial mail delivery off the road, and then you could add to it if you need it. Thank you. Any other comments from council? In that case, we'll move on to other matters. And do you have any other matters?
I have nothing.
I'm looking at my list. Does any council member have any other matters? We have 15 minutes. With that, I believe we've completed the agenda for this evening. And at that point, could I have a motion to adjourn? Move to adjourn. Is there a second? Move to second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried and we are adjourned.